Magandang araw sa lahat. The Fraternal Order of Eagles, Philippine Eagles, once again is here to serve you in the field of law. The lecture, of course, will be conducted by the Limbas Mandaragit Eagles Club of Antipolo City, Rizal. Our topic is actually about martial law na ginawang pananakot sa sambayanang Pilipino. So we are referring here to, our subject specifically is about the constitutional mandate on martial law. Now, question, does our Constitution allows declaration of martial law? The answer is yes. There is a constitutional mandate. The 1935, the 1973, and the 1987 Constitution allows the declaration of martial law. Aliwanag yung saligang batas, the 1935 Constitution, when it provides that in case of invasion or insurrection or rebellion or imminent danger, when the public safety requires it, the President may suspend the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus or place the Philippines or any part of the country under martial law. Martial law is actually founded upon the principle that the state has a right to protect itself. Against whom? Against those who would destroy it, like the rebels. Martial law has been likened to the right of the individual to self-defense. Martial law, of course, is invoked as an extreme measure and rests upon the basic principle that every state has the right of self-preservation, which is a power inherent in all states. Without the power of self-preservation, neither the state nor society would exist. Now, the martial law declared by President Marcos on September 21, 1972, is based on the grounds enumerated under the 1935 Constitution, meaning to say that there was a constitutional mandate to declare martial law. But how about the 1973 Constitution? Meron din ba? The answer is yes. The 1973 Constitution provides that the Prime Minister, this time hindi President, the Prime Minister, in case of what? Invasion or rebellion or imminent danger, when public safety requires it, well, the Prime Minister may suspend the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus or place the Philippines or any part of the country under martial law. So, meron pala 35 Constitution and the 1973 Constitution. But how about the 1987 Constitution? Meron din. The President, under the 1987 Constitution, shall be the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. And thus, whenever it becomes necessary, the President may call out such armed forces. For what purpose? To prevent or to suppress lawless violence, invasion, or rebellion when the public safety requires it. Now, the President may declare martial law for a period not exceeding 60 days. Medyo mahigpit ang 1987 Constitution. Oy, Mr. President, you can declare martial law pero not exceeding 60 days. You can suspend also the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus also for a period not exceeding 60 days. So, limited period. And during that period, under the 1987 Constitution, the President is required by the Constitution to submit report to Congress, to submit a report in writing to the Congress about martial law. And the Congress, when we say Congress, we are talking about the lower house, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. And they can vote for what? For the revocation of the proclamation of martial law. Pwede nilang i-revoke yan. Or they can suspend martial law declared by the President. Now, the revocation of the proclamation of martial law by Congress, meaning the revocation of such proclamation by Congress, shall not be set aside by the President. In other words, once ni-revoke ng Congress, sabi, nako, Mr. President, mali, i-revoke namin yung martial law mo. That proclamation or that resolution of Congress revoking the proclamation of martial law shall not be set aside by the President. Ibig sabihin, wala kang magawa, Mr. President, ni-revoke na yung proclamation of martial law. Pasensya ka na, Mr. President. Okay? But of course, upon the initiative of the President, the Congress may extend the proclamation of martial law. Pwede naman. Pwedeng i-extend. By whom? By Congress. For what period? For a period to be determined this time by Congress. Hindi yung presidente. If the invasion or rebellion, which was the basis for the declaration of martial law, still persist and the public requires it. At hindi lang, ang daming mga measures on martial law. The Supreme Court may review in an appropriate proceeding filed by any citizen of the Republic of the Philippines the sufficiency of the factual basis of the proclamation of martial law. Aba, kahit sinong citizen ng bansa, pwede siyang makialam. He can go to the Supreme Court to question the sufficiency of the factual basis of martial law. So mahirap abusuhin ng presidente. Also, under the Constitution, despite the fact that martial law was declared by the President, it does not suspend the operation of the Constitution. Well, our justice system will continue. A state of martial law does not supplant the functioning of the civil courts or legislative assembly. In other words, even if there is martial law, our civil courts will continue to function. Also, Congress will continue to function. So, wala masyadong ipin itong martial law na ito. The state of martial law does not authorize the conferment of jurisdiction on military courts over civilians because civil courts are still functioning, right? So, hindi pwede ang civilian doon ka kakasuhan sa military courts or military tribunal. Hindi po pwede yun. Because I repeat, the state of martial law does not authorize the conferment of jurisdiction on military courts over civilians. Hindi po pwede. Also, the suspension of the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall apply only to persons who were judicially charged for what crime? Only for rebellion or inherent in the crime of rebellion or connected with the invasion, which is the basic ground for the declaration of martial law. So, ang liwaliwanag that the provisions of the 1987 Constitution clearly show that the President may declare martial law. Right? So, hindi dapat gagawing panakot, baka mag-martial law. Hindi. It is well protected by the 1987 Constitution. There is therefore no valid reason to say never again to martial law. No. Because the declaration of martial law is expressly allowed by the 1987 Constitution. The people, the Filipino people, have already spoken when on February 2, 1987, that the President is authorized, allowed by the people of this country to declare martial law. Kaya huwag nang magsigaw-sigaw ng never again to martial law. Wala namang martial law na talaga na mangyayari sa panahon ng yung 1972 martial law. Wala na. Bakit? There is no 1935 Constitution anymore. Wala, hindi na mangyayari yon. But there can be martial law under the 1987 Constitution. But the rights of the people are well protected by the 1987 Constitution. There is nothing to be feared of. Hindi na dapat ginagawang pananakot sa mamayang Pilipino that the President may declare martial law. Okay, so maraming salamat. Again, this is public service of the Fraternal Order of Eagles, Philippine Eagles, sa ilalim ng or sa pamumuno or sa specifically under the Limbas Mandaragit Eagles Club of Antipolo City, the province of Rizal. So, maraming salamat. Maraming salamat.